Hey everybody, this is the What's Your Story podcast with a focus on generative AI. And I welcome everybody to listen in every week as we bring amazing guests from all over the globe, including marketers, people from Google, professors, and how they're using generative AI to make their content that much better. We'll be giving you tips, advice, and how you can use AI in the classroom to make it more effective, for example. Please subscribe to our podcast. We're on YouTube, and also follow us on Spotify and iTunes, and make sure you download and listen to all those podcasts out there. Okay. Anyway, this is the What's Your Story podcast, and we're bringing it to you live here every week. Have a great day. It's season 4, and we have been focusing our efforts, as you know, on generative AI and using AI in the workplace. And today I've got a really cool guest. Actually, I've known him for quite a while. Him and I worked together while he was our research firm at the Greater Toronto Airports Authority, where we actually researched passengers and what they wanted and their experience out of the airport. And it was a really cool initiative, but we can talk about that in our podcast today a little bit too. But so welcome, Shane Skillen. How are you, buddy? You're the CEO and founder of Hotspex Research, right? I guess.
Yeah. Thanks, Ron. Yeah, great to be here. It's an honor. Nice to see you. And yeah, we really enjoyed that work for the airport. Never ceases to amaze me how exciting an airport can be. It's like a hub for people's access to the world. And there's lots of decisions that need to get made. And that is what market research does. Helps smart marketers like you make the right decision.
There you go. Thank you for that. But listen, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself? You're actually a veteran of podcasts. You were one of my first guests back in 2020, of all places, when we were talking about the new normal. But now we're talking about generative AI and that type of thing. So why don't you tell us about who you are, your business, and what you've been up to? So.
Yeah, sure. So Shane Skillen, got 3 amazing teenage boys, an amazing wife.
Nice.
2 dogs. And I'm very happy with where I'm at in life. I'm 47, founded Hotspex 25 years ago out of the Richard Ivey School of Business with a couple of colleagues, I guess a couple students at the time. And it's been a hell of a ride. So, fast forward to today, we've worked with 18 of the top 20 global advertisers. We've had thousands of clients. We've got offices in Toronto, in Miami, in London, in Shanghai, and in Sydney, Australia. Use this map, this Hotspex map. Spent a whack of money making this once upon a time. We essentially help brands figure out where to position themselves on here so they deeply connect with human beings emotionally to drive things like purchase and loyalty and recommendation. And, so we've got some amazing clients around the world that call this their unified theory of brand building. So essentially you want to figure out where you want to go in the map. And then once you pick that spot, what emotions, brand personality, rational factors, goals, and values, you should trigger in people across all of your points of contact. So your ads, your stores, your credit cards, your apps, your spokespeople, your content. The more singular you can be around the emotions that you're triggering with people, the much easier it is for people to buy your brand. So it has a massive impact on driving brand profitability. And that's essentially what I do. And one more thing. So we also have a group called Hotspex Media. And we started Hotspex.
That's new, right? I understand.
Yeah, it's newer. Yeah, when we started Hotspex, we were really, our thought was if we could involve millions of people in the design of, say, a new package for Perrier, they would all buy the Perrier because they were involved in the design of it. And it was a failing business model. It just didn't work at all. I mean, we raised a bunch of money from a few billionaires when we were, 21 years old. And actually a good life lesson, especially if students are watching this. I called Richard Ivey the day after I graduated from the Richard Ivey School of Business, which is one of the top business schools in Canada, and asked if I could speak to him. I got his assistant on the line, asked if I could speak to him. And his assistant said, I don't think he'll talk to you, but hang on one sec. She came back on 10 seconds later, said, okay, he'll totally talk to you, available tomorrow at 10 a.m. And I said, yeah, I am. So I call him, I get Richard Ivey, the namesake of the school I was at for 2 years, on the phone. And he said, how can I help you? And I said, I'm starting this company with a few friends, and I just love your advice. What do you think that I didn't learn in your school for the last 2 years that you think I should know as we set out on this venture? And he said, well, do you know about the alumni network?
Okay.
And I said, yeah. And he's like, did you know there's an online feature where you can log in and see all these people? And I said, I sort of heard about that. He's like, Shane, that is going to be the best thing that ever happened to you. Go into that database, call all those people and ask them if they'll help you. And they will. And he was exactly right. Yeah. And so that was my first big break, actually. That was the first, you to ask entrepreneurs, what made all the difference. And really, everyone, the most common answer is luck. And I don't think luck is just like you roll some dice and your numbers come up. I think it's when preparation meets opportunity. Yeah. And so the opportunity I had was to talk to Richard. And I was prepared enough to leverage the wisdom that he impacted upon me to then go through that alumni database and use all of those people to help get our business off the ground. And it totally worked. And why I bring that up is because our first idea was involve people in the design of packaging and products, then they'll buy them. It didn't work. And it was almost because we tried to be a media company, but we found out that we were more a research company. We figured that out because General Motors asked us to put their brand tracker that was on the phone onto the interweb, they called it at the time. And we were broke. I mean, I had 17 credit cards. My two colleagues had left and gone on to have glorious careers in digital and digital marketing. I mean, they went on to Google to be super executives, and now one of them works in crypto. And I remember sitting there and you have these aha moments. And again, it was just lucky that we went and did this and just tried to put this market research survey onto the interweb, also known as the internet, in 2002. And I remember we would send them back the ones and zeros of all the data. Then in the presentation, you sit there and it was like that moment. I mean, your audience might not all know the Matrix movie, but the scene in the Matrix when you realize the humans are powering the machines and you're like, it's mind blowing. My mind blowing moment was when they turned our ones and zeros into these forecasts about the bankruptcy of General Motors, which actually ended up happening, the rise of the Korean automotive brands, which ended up happening, and then the ROI of all of the TV advertising that General Motors was doing. And I remember sitting there going, what is this? And they're like, it's market research, pal. So we went and pivoted, became a full market research company. Mm-hmm. And, to be a good market research company, you've got to more accurately predict the future when you got clients like Coke and Procter & Gamble and Amazon and all these people that make, high stake multi-billion-dollar decisions. And the way you do that is to understand emotional responses to brands and ads and products, and then to help give them guidance around that. The media company came into effect when I lost my map on the floor. One sec. And this is a relation to Gen AI, I promise, because this is everything that's happening in Gen AI right now. When the former head of behavioral science at Procter & Gamble joined us, and we got to have, Dr. Dan Young on our team, like the guy that crafted the behavioral science of Crest and Tide and Bounty and Pampers, joined us and helped us leverage this even more extensively. And I asked him, I'm like, Dan, what would you do to use this in media? And he's like, well, if you're a brand like Tide trying to be here, if you can find content that's there and match the ads with the content, the ads will work better because of a behavioral science theory. And so we built out that technology where we have this platform called Reticle that actually figures out how someone's feeling based on the content that they're reading or watching. And then we match ads with it. That got us back into the media business, where we acquired a media agency called Wave Digital, and then became Hotspex Media. And it's one of the fastest growing media companies in the world, because we've got technologies like that can actually build brands much more efficiently using emotional science. And that's so very cool. We started with the media idea. Sorry to cut you off. We started with the media idea. And then I guess 18 years later, we got right back into the media business, which is where $1 trillion is spent every year. We like to think that all this advertising builds the Western economies, because if you shut all the ads off, Deloitte says that the GDP would contract somewhere between 11 and 14%.
Wow.
So much worse than tariffs even.
Well, listen, so you've got this model, which we used at the airport when you were just creating it. And we were able to figure out the emotions of the airport, which was really critical actually in creating new products and services and, even a line that we ended up developing, which was the Amex expedited line for seats on the fly, we called them. So this platform you have, does it use AI or generative AI to help predict? What does it do?
So we use survey data where people come in and actually answer surveys to figure out what drives their behavior. Essentially, want to figure out how people feel about the airport, for example, and see their usage of it, or their overall, propensity to want to spend more time there. And then you can use something called regression analysis to figure out how emotions are driving behavior. So if they're, and what you really want to think about is when people tell you why they do the things they do, they don't really know why they do the things they do. And it all relates to their emotions. A great example is tires. When you ask people, why did you buy the brand of tires that you put on your car? We always get the same 1 and 2 answer: safe and long lasting. Every year, always the same. But when you have them rate the tires that they were considering on safe and long lasting, they typically all rate about the same, as parity. So it's not the real reason why they bought the brand of tires on their car. The real reason that has a 3.4 time more likelihood of you buying the brand of tire that you put on your car is how cool and groovy the treads are. So you can use mathematics to figure that out. And that's because of how those tires made them feel when they were actually looking at all those tires in the different competitive set. So that's, as market researchers, that's our job, is to dig deep into subconscious emotional science to figure out why people are actually consuming different brands and products and services that are in different categories. Where AI gets interesting is, AI is half my life right now. So I was just with a bunch of clients this morning just talking about how we're going to be using AI to do mass personalization at scale. Wow. And what you want to do is let me back up a bit. One of our big global clients, Coca-Cola, there was an uproar about them using generative AI to do their holiday ad last year. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
Remember that? They used Gen AI. All the marketers were upset. All the agencies were upset. How can Coke, which is supposed to be about the real thing, be using AI, which is the fake thing, to make an ad? And this can't possibly work. What's going on in the world? And it was just reminds me of, probably, taxi drivers revolting against the onslaught of Uber, which ended up happening. It's like the natural progression of things. So that ad, in research, only 1% of respondents realized that it was generative AI and not real. Only 1% of the people that were testing it. It performed better than any other global ad campaign in the world, as per Kantar. And the cost to produce it was a fraction of what it would have been had they tried to make it using real cinematography. Part of the magic of it was that they could localize it then to different markets. So you can run a similar ad in Tokyo and in New York and in Los Angeles and in Toronto. And all you do is just modify the prompts ever so slightly to make it more culturally appropriate or culturally targeted to those markets. Next year, what we think they're going to do, and we think everyone's going to do this, is they're going to be using Gen AI to personalize ads to the individual people. So you think about all the data that's out there in the world. We know, as part of our data group we have at Hotspex also, we know about 5,000 things about me based on this phone that I carry around in my pocket. So based on those 5,000 things, you sure could have a better one-to-one conversation with me and use a generative AI engine to actually tailor ads that are more relevant to me. So as I'm sitting on Meta, as I'm sitting on YouTube, or as I'm sitting on Snap or TikTok, I'm not on Snap. My kids are all over Snap.
Come on. Yes, you are.
I know. I was for a bit, but I felt weird because I was getting, I get hundreds of asks to join my kids' friends group. And it's a whole different world, that Snapchat, but what a great platform. As you reach people on these platforms, what you want to do is use this map to then personalize what stuff and maybe the inspiring zone is just for them. And so what a lot of our clients are worried about is you've got something called Google Performance Max. You've got websites like Ad Creative AI, Pencil.io. Like if you want to check out a cool website, it's called trypencil.ai. And that site
Pencil.ai, okay.
Yeah, it'll make an ad for you, run the ad, check the performance, change the ad and the bid rates. So it's essentially full circle, fully automated ads. Challenge is, unless you tell it what emotions your brand is all about, it'll start making ads all over the emotional sphere in your brain. And so then what happens is in market, you've got, say it's Perrier, you'll have people thinking Perrier means completely different things to different people. Some people think it's nurturing. Some people think it's fun. Some people think it's super trustworthy. Some people think it's friendly. And then when they go and see the package in store, you get something called cognitive dissonance because you've not created that emotional brand singularity throughout all the touch points. So that's our main thing we're focused on in the area of generative AI right now is how do we make sure that AIs have an understanding of what brand should be all about, so that unified theory can link back to those bedrock emotions, so that as brands, continue to use all these cool technologies to build in the future, that they don't create that cognitive dissonance by disrupting what the brand means to people.
So, what's interesting is Google last summer was supposed to get rid of their cookies, and instead just, generative AI or AI to model people's behavior. And advertisers have pushed back. So they haven't done it yet. They're in the process of doing it. They've integrated, obviously, Gemini into the Google Chrome app. When I actually show my classes this, some students don't even know it's there. They go, what? And then they realize it's there. So how do you see that affecting people's trust? Because the reason that they're getting rid of cookies is that people don't trust their data anymore. So how do you feel this is going to affect the trust of people using generative AI to model personalized messaging and other ads going to them?
Yeah, so it's interesting. Google's not going to get rid of that for financial reasons. That was going to have a massive impact on their profitability. And so if they're not being forced to do it, they're not going to do it. You think about, Google and Meta in particular, there's CEOs there that have fiduciary obligations to maximize profitability for investors. So they're not going to go and lean on the side of, focusing on privacy unless they absolutely have to, either because of consumer backlash or laws. So you've got CEOs like Sundar Pichai at Google who's screaming for regulation, saying, until you tell me what I can and can't do, I'm going to maximize profitability. That is my job. I am going to do that because that's my fiduciary obligation to the company. So do people care about their privacy and people using that data to bring them more personalized, ad experiences? I think people like that. I think people like getting experiences back to them that are more catered to their needs, that reveal new products and services that they're actually interested in because they're using all of that data. And until the laws are made, or until it's unfortunately still talk of breaking up Google, which I don't support. I don't think we should break up Google, given the political climate. I think that Google is used this ad model that they have that uses all this amazing personalized data to make lots of money for all of the companies that leverage their platform. They use those profits to, create stuff like isomorphic labs, which is where their AI is powering advances in biology. And it's fascinating. I might have these numbers slightly wrong, but I think humanity, as of a year ago, December, knew of 170 odd thousand protein structures, and a PhD student for years in their PhD would spend time trying to map how a protein would fold. Proteins are the building blocks of all of biology. Like, this is how medicines work. It's how health works. It's how life works, how proteins interact with each other to actually create, life. And Google AI in 1 month, so we started with, say, 170,000 known proteins to all of humanity through all the research ever done on it. Google isomorphic labs in 1 month came up with 200 million new proteins that humanity is now leveraging to actually create more effective drugs, longevity. Our pharmaceutical clients are heavily leveraging this platform to basically cure diseases, extend life, and create better well-being outcomes. And if Google didn't have this ad model, they wouldn't have been able to fund stuff like that. Google's working on some other, incredible game-changing things that advertising business is actually funding. But I do think their business is under threat. They've got Gemini, like you mentioned, sitting in Chrome, but ChatGPT is growing like crazy, right? So ChatGPT is by far the leading market share. Let's call them answer engines. And I just saw a report today saying that over 35% of people in North America use these answer engines to make product and services decisions. So rather than people going into Google saying, what's the best credit card for me, they'll go to ChatGPT and say, what's the best credit card for me? Mm-hmm. And then what that recommends back is driving a lot of consumer decision making. Then the next turn of this is something called the agental future. Have you heard of these agents? That
actually, I have not. So that'd be great to explain it to everybody here.
So everyone says the agents are coming. Mark Benioff from Salesforce, Jensen Huang from NVIDIA, Satya Nadella from Microsoft. What agents are AIs that will go and do work for you? So they will go and, like, say you want to take a trip to, I imagine that in 6 months this will be here, and maybe even sooner. But say my wife and her and I are going to Switzerland.
Nice.
Tomorrow.
I want to go to Switzerland.
We're going to see some clients, and then we're going skiing with some friends of ours. But there's a lot of decisions to make. We need to find hotels, we need to find restaurants, we need to find which mountain to go to. So say we're solving for where's the good snow, where's the good food, where are the good hotels, how should we get there, and in what order, because we're going to go to 3 different mountains, should we go in? In 6 months, we'll just ask an AI agent to do that. Her agent will talk to my agent, and then that agent will go in and talk to the hotel agents, the restaurant agents, the travel agents, the weather agents, to come back to us with a recommendation that's personalized just for us.
Very good.
These agents are coming, and I think it's going to be like in your phone. So in your iPhone, Siri is now ChatGPT. If you've updated your app,
I saw that.
Siri is ChatGPT. So I would predict that Siri in call it 6 to 9 months, a question will pop up and it'll say, "Hey Ron, I've been watching what you've been up to. Would you mind if I made some recommendations how to improve your life?" And you'll say, because it's Apple, you'll say yes. And now Siri will watch every text message, every email, listen to every conversation, track your biometric movement. If you got an Apple Watch like I do, it's looked at my heart rate and all my different biometrics. It's looked at every app I've opened. It looks at every website that I've looked at. And then it might come and suggest, this is, your car lease is up soon. I think these are the 3 things that you should consider. And by the way, do you mind if I talk it over with your wife's agent so we can make a better decision for the best of your household?
That they can have the argument, right? So
and then you avoid the argument. Yeah. So in Siri, that will have its own AI agent. And then Gemini is obviously on all the Android phones, so it'll be in there. So I think as marketers in the future, as much as we're marketing to people, we're also marketing to these agents so that you think if you're a bank, you want to make sure that everybody's agents understand how the products and services that you as a bank or an airline or an airport or a beverage company, how those products and services match the needs that these agents have decided are important to their owners or their masters. Yeah, that's the future of marketing in my mind.
Very cool. So one of the other things that you taught me is about consumer insights and being able to understand what those insights are to predict behavior and connect with people socially and through social marketing or other ways. So what type of, what's AI's ability to analyze data today to really help marketers understand the insights better and then understand what to do with those insights?
Yeah. So I'll give you an example. So for clients, something that used to take us 6 weeks and we need about 30 people working on it, we can do in 2 days now with 2 or 3 people working on it. Yeah. So that the speed is incredible. Further, and we are some really smart, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed analysts and consultants at Hotspex, but they don't compare to an AI that's analyzed all the data that's in that report. So the AI can see everything in the report, see everything else that we've done for that client, see other stuff that's out there in the world, and then come back with like an expert knowledge base back to our clients as they're trying to figure out how to leverage the insights we provide them to go and make more profit for their business, which is what we try to help all our clients do, is understand, where the profitability comes from and how to make better decisions to do that. So sum that up, the quality of the insights out of it are fantastic. The speed is incredible. And obviously that's created cost efficiencies for us and for our clients also. The big innovation in AI right now, and we're not doing this for Colgate because we don't test concepts. We really help with brand strategy. And we help understand what the emotional drivers are of different categories. Colgate, this was out in one of our trade journals. They used to ask 400 people about new toothbrush designs and new package designs and new products. Instead of asking any people now, they ask synthetic respondents, which are not real people, but millions of them. So like 2 million people, not people, I can't believe I said people, 2 million synthetic respondents, so bots, will come and analyze a concept and then predict how that concept's going to do in market. And the results are fantastic. Thankfully, we're in the business of brand tracking too.
Yeah.
You always need brand tracking to keep informing the synthetic respondents around what's going on in the hearts and minds of people. But once you have those synthetic respondents, you can use them to answer questions, very, very cost effectively and almost instantaneously, and with humongous samples. When you ask 2 million people what they think about something, you can then do ad targeting to people that look like different groups within that sample.
That's very cool. So if I'm an employee that works at Hotspec and I'm a young up and coming exec and I have an account and I get to work in the morning, how would AI make my life easier throughout the day and more efficient and do my job better?
Yeah, so we have lots of our people who are actively using AI. So we really like, and I would encourage your listeners to check this out. So there's deep research. So you can find deep research on almost any of the platforms. You're familiar with it?
I am not, but you can help explain it to us all here.
I'm actually going to see if I can share my screen with you. I don't think it's going to let me do it.
It's okay. Afterwards, we'll put a link in the description about deep research so that people can check it out.
My screen. Yeah, so deep research is in Google's got it, X has it, ChatGPT has it, Claude has it. It's just a button that says deep research. What that does is it goes and spends more time on inference time. So you think about AI, why is it getting smarter? How does it work? So you need a large training set. And so all of the major frontier models are called, like ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini, are trained on pretty much everything there is that's out there. They've ingested all of it. Okay. Then you need a big GPU farm. X has the biggest one right now, where they managed to stitch together 100,000 of these Blackwell NVIDIA GPU units. And then the latest innovation has been this inference time. How long will you let the AI think about it? Because you and I thinking about something like, what's the next trip that we want to go on? We're not going to instantaneously know what that is. We're going to spend some time thinking about it. The longer we think about it, the higher the quality decision that we're going to make. So deep research gives these AI frontier models longer times to think. So our analysts are using this all the time as they walk into a meeting with someone. I was just in a meeting with a bunch of them this morning at a leading bank, and they ask, I'm going to see these specific people. What do I think is keeping them awake at night? And what do I think they're excited about right now? And then it goes away and thinks about it for anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes. And it comes back with just a staggering report based on everything that's out there in the public domain, the people's LinkedIn profiles, anything the CEO of the bank has said. And it's almost like a precursor that we do before we have any meetings with people. And I would encourage everybody to do that, because it just takes a few minutes. Yeah. And it just builds that quality relationship. What are your students and what are people going to be doing in the future? AI is eating all of this IQ. So the knowledge, the price to access knowledge is on its way to zero. Yeah. But what's important are, the human stuff. Like, we've all got to lean into the humanity. And that's about making connections with people. It's about emotional intelligence, about telling stories. And so when you get that edge before you go and meet someone, if you can understand them a little bit better, and have more, I call it ultimate empathy. If you can have more ultimate empathy for anybody that you ever meet by trying to do a little bit of research on them. And now that little bit of research, I feel like you get almost like 1,000 times more data on them than you ever would, doing a Google search or trying to recruit them on LinkedIn. Yeah. Then you have a much better potentiality to connect with them and have a better relationship. And I think now more than ever, our ability to leverage these AI tools, it's all about artificial intelligence. I like to think about it as augmented intelligence. Okay. And, I didn't coin this phrase as AI might not take your job right away, but people that know how to use it really well will definitely take your job. So the way you use it is you invite AI into your life, and anywhere you can think about using it, try to use it. And I think it'll pleasantly surprise everybody about how wide scale the uses can be.
So I have this podcast. It's called What's Your Story, Gen AI. And if I wanted to grow the numbers, what kind of advice would you give a podcaster like myself to grow the numbers using AI?
Yeah, so easy.
Okay.
First of all, I would say I'm not as smart as AI to figure out how to do that.
Yeah.
I would go into deep research, and
Yeah.
I would start with on X to say, how would I grow this podcast numbers? And please use your best practice understanding of how other podcasts have successfully scaled.
Yeah.
What that would tell you will be 10x what I could ever tell you.
Yeah.
That will be aggregating every video ever made about how to grow podcast audiences, every article ever written about it. It will have quality sourced those. It'll actually give you real case studies of what's worked for other people.
Okay.
And then you can even say, like, give me a playbook on how to do this. It'll blow you. I actually can't wait until you text me later today after you've done this with your mind, with the mind blown icon of what it actually told you on how to do this. And then, Ron, the agential future is that you won't even just be prompting this thing. You will ask it to grow your podcast base, and it'll go and do the things that it's going to recommend you.
Well, that's interesting because Character.ai, which is a bot that was created through a Google employee who just decided to create it, and Google didn't want to support it, so he went off and did it. It says it will help you grow, but it doesn't. So the bot won't actually do it. It's lying to you. So I asked it to do that.
Well, the bots don't work to do that yet, but they're coming. They're coming.
Yeah.
There's one, China released one a few weeks ago that is doing a lot of this. OpenAI's got something called Operator, and now a new thing that's got API keys. It's getting so close. Like you'll just say, I'm Ron, I run this podcast, please grow my audience. And it'll go and do it. Like it'll go and
thank you.
You might have to give it your credit card number so it can run some ads for you and pay some other agents to make you some creative and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I just believe that that's the future. Yeah. And I mean, it's going to eat, like I said, it's going to eat a lot of this IQ in jobs, and it's going to be a really, really interesting next few years. It's such a fantastic time to be working. We're so lucky.
You're going to have to use it to make your son faster on the ski hill, I think. But that's another
fascinating story. You say that. So people even ask me, they're like, I still ski race myself too. They're like, well, AI is not going to replace ski race coaching. And it did. There's a platform called Carve. You put these little things on your boots, and it looks at your angulation and your edge pressure and your forward backward thing. It is the best ski coach I've ever had. It is, because where I ski, a bunch of Olympic athletes.
I'm a ski coach. I was a ski coach. I guess you can't use me anymore. I'm out of date. So.
No, this thing's incredible. So it uses your actual run, and then you listen in your ears as you're skiing how to fix your turns as you're actually turning. And then when you go up the lift the next run, you watch a video from some of the best skiers in the world coaching you on your performance. Yeah. And like I used to snowboard professionally. I was on the Burton snowboarding team. And when you do, going back to skiing was tough for me. And I would ski in a weird way that my wife and kids would make fun of me. And everyone I ski with actually makes fun of me. Nobody could fix this thing that was wrong with my skiing until I got this AI coach. It fixed it in one run. One run, fixed it.
Oh, that's what I need to feel and what it needs to do. Very good. That's awesome. So you know what? This has been a really insightful, I should say, an interesting half an hour we've been talking. And I do believe that AI is the future, and as you do. And so maybe you could just tell everybody how they can get a hold of you and contact your company if they want some help in making their ads better, or understand their consumers in a different way. That would be great. So.
Sure. And anyone else that just wants help with AI, I love helping people out. One of the things Richard Ivey asked me to do before he hung up all those years ago is that I'd always pay it forward. So I mentor, I don't know, about 50 kids a year, just helping them find their thing. And I use AI tools to help them find their thing using this model called Ikigai, which is do what you love, what you're good at, and what the world needs. And in the center there is your Ikigai. And so if anyone needs any help with that, I just, it's tragic to me when people don't know what they want to do with themselves and can't really figure it out. But if anyone needs help with brand building, I'm happy to help too. So my email address is shane.skillen@hotspex.com. So shane.skillen@hotspex.com. And if you follow me on LinkedIn, just Shane Skillen on LinkedIn, I've got about 40,000 followers, and I put stuff up there about AI when I find it's interesting. And like I said, anything I can do to help you and your viewers out, Ron.
Wow. You know what? Thanks a lot, Shane. We've heard it from the research guru here. He's developed that, and you keep changing and innovating. I think that's just fabulous. So thank you for joining us today. And this is the What's Your Story podcast, Gen AI version. And we've had Shane Skillen on today from Hotspex Research with some amazing information. Any other last parting words you'd like to leave everybody to hear today?
I mean, my last words are AI, lean into it. If you don't like change, you're going to like irrelevance even less.
Very good. Okay, so everybody, you can follow us on YouTube. You can look at us on Spotify or iTunes. This is the What's Your Story podcast. Please like and subscribe. It does help us out a lot. And actually download the podcast and listen to anywhere you want. So it's an interesting tool. We've got a lot of great guests, just like Shane here today. So thanks, everybody. Take care. Thanks a lot, Shane. Have a great day.
Thanks, Ron.